हरे कृष्णा। हरे कृष्ण। फिर कंट्रोल। कबे हबे बोलो से दिनायामा। कबे हबे बोलो से दिनयामा। कबे हबे बोलो से दिनयामा। कबे हबे बोलो से देनायामा। कबे हबे बोलो से देनायामा। अपराधा गुची शुद्ध नामे रुचि। कृपा बले हबे हृदय संसार। तेनादिकाहिना कमे निजे मानी। सहिष्णुता गुण हृदय त्यानी। तेनादिकाहिना कमे निजे मानी। सहिष्णुता गुण हृदय। सकल मानद आपनी आमनी। सकल मानद आपनी आमनी। होए अस्वादि बो नाम रसासा। कबे हबे बोलो तेरे नायामा। कबे हबे बोलो तेरे नयामा। तन जना अर कोबित सुंदरे। बोले बोना चाहे देहो सुखा करे। बोले बना चाहे देहो सुखा करे। जन्मे जन्मे दाओ है गौरा हरे। जन्मे जन्मे दाओ है गौरा। जन्मे जन्मे दाओ है गौरा हरे। आहे तुकी भक्ति चरण तो मार। कबे हबे बोलो तेरी नायामा। कबे हबे बोलो तेरे नयामा। कबे कोरित श्री कृष्ण नाम उच्चारण। पुलकिता देहो गदगद वासना। श्री कृष्ण नाम उच्चारण। पुलकिता देहो वैवर्ण्य बेपतो हबे संगाटना। निरंतर नित्य भवे अश्रुधा। कबे हबे बोलो तेरे नायमा। कबे हबे बोलो तेरे नयामा। कबे नवद्वीपे करधुनी तटे। गौर नित्यानंद बोली निष्कापटे। नाचिया गाया बेराई बो छुटे। বাতুলেরা প্রায় করিয়া বিচার কবে হবে বলো সেরেনায় আমার কবে হবে বলো সেরেনায় আমার কবে নিত্যানন্দ মোরে করে দয় চারে বোম কবে নিত্যানন্দ মোরে করে দয় চারাইবে মোরা বিষয়ের মায়া দিয়া মোরা নিজা চরণের ছায়া দিয়া মোরে নিজা চরণের ছায়া নামের হাটতে দিবের টিকা ইনি বলুটিব হরি নামর নামে রসে মাতি হইব বিবা রাসের রাসিকা চরণ পারস করিয়া জীব রসে অনিবা কবে হবে বলো সেদিন আমা কবে হবে বলো সেদিন আমা কবে জীবে দয়া হইবে উদয় নিজ সুখ শুদ্ধর দয়া কবে জীবে দয়া হইবে উদয় নিজ সুখী সুখ বলি দুদিন রে দয় ভক্তি বিনোদা করি না বিনয়া ভক্তি বিনোদা করিয়া বিনয়া কি আজ তাহা করিবে প্রচার কবে হবে বলো তেরে নায়ামা কবে হবে বলো তেরে নায়ামা অপরাধা গতি শুদ্ধ নামে রুচি হলে হবে হৃদয় সংসার কৃপা বলে হবে হৃদয় সংসার কবে হবে বলো তেরে নায়ামা কবে হবে বলো তেরে নায়ামা Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki. One of you can read. He'll be audible if someone writes translation. He'll be audible on Zoom.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
When, oh, when will that day be mine? When will you give me your blessings, erase all my offenses, and give me a heart? Give my heart a taste for chanting the holy name in purity. When will I taste the essence of the holy name, feeling myself to be lower than the grass, my heart filled with tolerance? When will I give respect to all others and be freed from the desire of respect for myself? When will I cry out that I have no longer any desire for wealth and followers, poetry and beautiful women, all of which are meant just for bodily pleasure? O Gaura Hari, give me causeless devotion service to your lotus feet, birth after birth. When will my body be covered with goosebumps and my voice broken with emotion as I pronounce Krishna's name? When will my body change color and my eyes flow with endless tears as I chant? When will I give up the thought of world and society to run like a madman along the banks of Ganga in Navadvip, singing and dancing and sincerely calling out the names of Gaura and Nityananda? When will Nityananda Prabhu be merciful to me and deliver me from the enchantment of Maya of sense objects? When will he give me the shade of his lotus feet and the right to enter the marketplace of the holy name? When will I buy, borrow, and steal the ecstasies of the holy name? When will I lose myself in the intoxication of holy name? When will I immerse myself in the nectar of the holy name after grasping the feet of a saint who constantly relishes the flavors or rasa of devotion? When will I feel compassion for all living beings? When will I forget my own pleasure in genuine humility? And when will I, Bhakti Vinod, meekly go from door to door preaching your message of love? Phone is in ecstasy. Hare Krishna. So welcome you to today's Bhagavatam class on the verse 1.6.22. Too small, I think. सकृद्यदर्शितं रूपम् एतत् कामायते नघा मत्कामः शनकये साधु
Mata kame sne sadhu
सर्वान् मुञ्चति रिच्यया.
sarvan mukti rakshaya.
One Vaishnava, one Vaishnava. सर्वान् मुञ्चति रिच्ययान्. Vaishnava. सकृद्यदर्शितं रूपम्
Rupam chakriyatrishti rupam
एतत्
etat
कामायते नघा
kamayate etat kama denaga matkama
मत्कामः सनकये साधु
sadhu matkama sanati sadhu
सर्वान् मुञ्चति रिच्ययान्.
sarvan mukti rakshaya.
Sakrit, once only,
Once
yat,
only.
that, darshitam, rupam, darshitam shown, rupam, form, etat, this is, kamaya, for hankerings, te, your, anagha, O virtuous one, mat, for me, kamaha, desire, shanakaihi, by increasing, sadhuhu, devotee, sarvan, all, munchati, gives away, hrichayan, material desires. So word to word translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupāda ki. O virtuous one, you have only once seen my person, and this is just to increase your desire for me. Because the more you hanker for me, the more you will be freed from all material desires. So this is being told by Lord Vishnu to Narad Muni. Purport. A living being cannot be vacant of desires. He is not a dead stone. He must be working, thinking, feeling, and willing. But when he thinks, feels, wills materially, he becomes entangled. And conversely, when he thinks, feels, and wills for the service of the Lord, he becomes gradually freed from all entanglement. The more a person is engaged in the transcendental loving service of Lord, the more he acquires a hankering for it. That is the transcendental nature of godly service. Material service has satiation, whereas spiritual service of the Lord has neither satiation or end. One can go on increasing his hankerings for the loving transcendental service of the Lord, and yet he will not find satiation or end. By intense service of the Lord, one can experience the presence of the Lord transcendentally. Therefore, means being seeing the Lord means being engaged in His service, because His service and His person are identical. The sincere devotee should go on with sincere service of the Lord. The Lord will give proper direction as to how and where it has to be done. There was no material desire in Narada, and yet, just to increase his intense desire for the Lord, he was so advised. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्यनाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी श्रीराधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So before I can start, I seek the blessings and prayers of all the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, so that the right words come at the right time, in the right mood of service to all of you, glorification of Krishna and purification of my heart. So in this verse, this of course, day for yesterday, Rajakrishna Prabhu had summarized what is happening in this chapter number 6. So Narad Muni was meditating as a Narad boy after he lost his mother. He goes wandering, taking it as an opportunity to dwell into the rasa of bhakti. And then he goes to various forests and towns. And then he sits to meditate under a banyan tree. And he was so um, mature in bhakti that the moment he sat for meditation, he could actually in some time get the darshan of the Supreme Lord. And that darshan was so attractive that his heart fully melted. But the Supreme Lord, Sakradyad Darshitam Rupam, only once the Supreme Lord gave darshan and immediately disappeared. And that broke the heart of Narad boy, who was completely absorbed in visualizing or taking the darshan of the Supreme Lord. And immediately he started trying different techniques, controlling the mind, trying to chant some mantras or some techniques, pranayam, this, that. so that he could get the darshan back by mechanical means into his own mind, but he could not get it. Then here another amazing thing happens. Krishna himself speaks to Narad Bhai in his divine voice. So everything about Krishna is non-different. His form, his voice, his leela, everything is non-different. So this also gave him the same ecstasy, but it was mixed emotion because Krishna told him, Sakridya dashitam rupam yat ka etat kamayate anagha makkama shanakai sadhu. That means, my dear Narad Bhai, I have given you darshan only once. And now I've disappeared. This is to increase your hankering for me. Why? Because mat kama shanakai sadhu, by increasing your hankering for me, sarvan munchati hrichayan, all the material desires in your heart will disappear. So this desire, if you see in this verse, 2 times one same word is repeated, which is that kamaha, desire. So desire is the cause of all misery in this world. Rather, in 15th chapter, first verse of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that the material universe is formed on the waters, the reflection is formed on the waters of material desire. And it is also a cause of perpetuation of the material universe, material life. Nayam janomi sukha dukkha hetuhu na devatatma graha karma kala manah param karanam amananti samsara chakra parivartayedyat. So there, Krishna himself, Avanti Brahman is understanding, he comes to his realization that uncontrolled mind loaded and burdened with so many material desires is actually the only cause of perpetuation of material life, material existence. So here material desire is both the cause and sustenance and maintenance of the material universe. Of course, the cause, maintenance, destroyer is Krishna, but the whole point Krishna is doing it for us is because of our material desire. So it is prudent to think that by destroying this material desire of selfish enjoyment, one can attain the lotus feet of Krishna. Correct? How many of you think, yes, by destroying material desire in our heart, we can achieve Krishna? I mean, no half answers, either full up or no up. Nobody thinks? Krishna is telling, na? No? The question is, by destruction of material desire, we can attain love for Krishna. Is it true or not? True. True. Anyone else? True, no? Yeah. No, that is okay. But by destroying destroying material desire, we can attain Krishna. Yes or no? No. Okay. Anyone wants to explain why? Yes. Hari Bol. So the whole point is, just by destroying material desire, one will have the same fate as impersonalistic Mayavadis. Yene ravindaksha vimuktamaninaha tvayasthabhavana vishuddha buddhaya aruhya krichrena parampadam tata patantyadona dutayushmadangrayaha. Anadata Yushmadangraha, one who has not learned to hook himself to the lotus feet of Krishna, if he goes, to liberate himself from material desires, after some time, because the nature of the spirit soul is to have desire, he will be drawn back, patanti adaha, unto this fallen world, wherein he'll be engaged in a more civilized ways of finding happiness and more of goodness, opening hospitals, philanthropy, altruism. So, in like that. So, just by destroying material desire, one cannot achieve Krishna, but it is rather the attachment to Krishna which can not only burn the material desires away in our heart, but also award Krishna Prema. Right? So, it is the attachment to Krishna. So, even in this world, we see that materialist and spiritualist, they appear so alike. There are so many devotees who are working. So, we also work, they also work. A materialist is working, you know, 8 hours a day or 9 hours, 10 hours a day. And spiritualists are also in the same office, has to work for the same hours. And appears, both are wearing pant, shirt, tie, boot, etc. So, it appears so similar. But the materialist is working for his own sense gratification, whereas a spiritualist is working for How? At least for purification of his heart. And then through that, develop prema for Krishna. So the materialist is, as time passes, he's approaching his not only death, but he's also, through his work, is making a new body already. Through his work, he's also designing his next body. Whereas a spiritualist, through his work, he's becoming liberated, not implicated, and he's making himself ready for spiritual world, right? So a materialist is approaching repeated material existence, whereas a spiritualist is approaching eternal life of bliss. Correct. So even though it appears so similar, the whole point lies in Arjuna was a warrior, but he had in pure love for Krishna. Duryodhan was also a warrior. Karna was also a warrior. There's so many other warriors, but they did not achieve Krishna. The funda lies in yeah, the desire. Correct. So one person, he ran up to Prabhupada. He was actually doing Prabhupada's morning walk. He was in the back end of the group, and he wanted to ask this question very badly. And then somehow he was hesitant. Then Prabhupada was almost going to sit in the car. And as Prabhupada opened, then immediately this devotee ran up and interjected himself between Prabhupada and the car and said, Prabhupada, how do I make rapid spiritual progress? How do I attain spiritual perfection in this one lifetime? And such a complex question. Imagine a new boy asks this question. We will take, come to Manglarti, you shift here, you do this, take prasadam, etc. It's so much, so elaborate. The question is one line, but the answer is so elaborate. But Prabhupada answered in one word. This is called Acharya because he can summarize everything in one word. And he said, desire. So simply, if we have the desire to make rapid progress, we've already started making progress. Many times we are on the rail track, but we don't have desire, and that's why we don't seem to be making much progress. Correct? So in that way, this desire is the whole funda of way how we are progressing in spiritual life. There is no stagnancy in spiritual life. Either you're going up or you're going down. There is no stagnant position. So it is said energy flows where intent goes, and intent goes where identification is. So to the degree we identify with our body, material position, material situation, material possessions, material relations, etc., to that degree we will be convinced that this I am this body, hence happiness is through sense gratification, and I have to I'm limited because body is limited. So I have to work very hard to get happiness in this world. And such a person will, be nothing more than a materialist. Whereas a person who understands that he is servant of Krishna, such a person, he makes spiritual progress because he knows that I am working simply for the pleasure of Krishna. Okay. So this spiritual desire is a sum and substance of the life of a devotee. So we are devotees. I mean, we say Prabhu, we say we are devotees, etc., etc. But we are actually devotees only to the extent that our mind and heart is preoccupied by spiritual desires. Just by wearing tilak and kanti and dhoti kurta does not qualify one to become a devotee. Rather, what is the preoccupation of the mind that determines the substance of one's devotional life. And hence, in our life, we must cultivate spiritual desires. And that is given an outline very beautifully by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Rupa Shiksha. He says that the Bhakti Lata Bij we receive from Guru and Krishna. Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. That Bij has to be sowed and in fertile soil of gratitude of our heart. Without gratitude, it's like a barren land. So with gratitude, the soil of our heart becomes fertile to nourish that Bhakti Lata Bij. And as the plant grows, it requires nourishment from the waters of Shravan and Kirtan. And then you have to protect it from various animals, the worst being a mad elephant, from trampling and destroying the Bhakti Lata So these animals are compared to offenses. So you must fence the entire plant so beautifully so that it is not allowing any animals to graze there. It could be even small offense like a goat, or it could be big offense like a mad elephant. So but like one person told one of the sannyasis in ISKCON, your devotees I've seen in Mayapur, one Gaudiya Vaishnava. He was saying, your devotees I've seen, they do not hesitate to make offenses. Because we think small offense is okay, joke, it's fine. Pulling leg, it's fine. I'll take Juta in front of him, it's fine. Kya hoga? And then we'll sleep in chanting. That's all. Correct, no? So, in that way, we should be very careful to not even allow a rabbit to enter in that field where we are, growing that plant of Bhakti Lata to come and nibble on our Bhakti Lata creeper, which is very, very tender and fragile. How many of you agree our Bhakti Lata is tender and fragile? So don't allow even a smallest of the animals to come in and graze upon the Bhakti Lata. Another obstruction is weeds that grow. So material desires, sometimes they take on the garb of the same plant. You get confused which one to nourish. And if you get confused, then you will start, nourishing the weed. And the weed is expert in sucking out the vitality of the Bhakti Lata. And Bhakti Lata starts drooping and the weed starts emerging and becoming more uh, full with lush greenness of its appearance. Why? Because all our Shravana and Kirtan we are doing for some other material desires. We are not doing for Krishna. And material desires in that way take strong shape, sucking out vitality from Bhakti Lata, and we no longer feel any taste for Krishna consciousness. So these aspects Chaitanya Mahaprabhu outlines in Rupa Shiksha, and hence to cultivate spiritual desire is not only a necessity but is also an art, and that art we can learn under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. Otherwise, how will you differentiate between weed and Bhakti Lata, right? Hence, Srila Rupa Goswami, he says that Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavita Matihi, that pure devotional service or Krishna Prema, that Matihi, that kind of a mentality is very, very rare to obtain. In case it's available, then immediately go and grab it. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavita Mati Kriyatam Yadi Kuto Pilabhyate. Then तत्र लौल्यम् अपि मूल्यमेकलम् अपि मूल्यम् एकलम् जन्म कोटि सुकृते न लभ्यते. So through millions of sukriti you cannot attain this Krishna prema, but somehow by the grace of Guru and Krishna we had ended up in ISKCON under the guidance of bona fide spiritual masters and other mentors, etc. That means you have got the availability of Bhakti Lata or Shuddha Prema now. It's available. Hence, what you should do? Immediately grab it. But can you grab it for free? Then what is the price? Tatra laulyam. Unless until we develop this eagerness, eagerness for attachment to Krishna, eagerness for pure love for Krishna, eagerness to be able to taste or relish the nectar of holy name. Until then, you cannot avail what is available already so close to you. So you have to go and grab it means develop the eagerness quickly because that is a price you have to pay. Otherwise, it will not be given for free. And the perfection of this consciousness of this developing eagerness for Krishna, we can see it in so many examples, correct? We see it in the Gopi. We see it also in Vishnu Priya. Who is Vishnu Priya? The second wife of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So on the day of sannyas, because Vishnu Priya was such a chaste lady, she was goddess of fortune, Lakshmi ji herself, and she was so diligent in serving Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that she would serve him so well and comfort him so well. And on the day of or the night of taking sannyas, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of course not Chaitanya Mahaprabhu yet, but Gaurahari, when he was about to leave home, then immediately Vishnu Priya said, "My dear Lord, are you ready to leave me alone? Who do I have in this world? I've been serving you alone, so I have nobody else." And Gaurang Mahaprabhu said, "Then my dear Vishnu Priya, you are, at that time her age was only 14 years. Just imagine what would her life ahead be without a husband and no father-in-law also because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's father had already passed away. So with only a widowed mother-in-law, she alone has to be there. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tries to what do you say? pacify Vishnu Priya, and he says that your name is Vishnu Priya, which means you're very dear to Lord Vishnu. So don't worry, have faith, and Krishna will protect you. So with these words, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thought he can leave, and immediately Vishnu Priya sat down, sobbing with great deep emotion of separation of Krishna, and she said to the Lord that, where will you go? How will you stay? Or where will you be? Will I never see you again? And that time, to pacify Vishnu Priya, the Supreme Lord manifests the beautiful Chaturbhuj form of Lord Narayan, Lord Vishnu, and that was, completely pacify the heart of Vishnu Priya. And after being pacified like this, and again Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, removed that form. Again she was, in deep separation. How will I stay without you? And Lord Chaitanya said that, don't worry, I will I will be going everywhere because I have to distribute the holy names. But you can understand that I'm always intimately connected with you in your heart. And then at that time, Vishnu Priya says something very, very important for all of us to imbibe as the goal to keep on the topmost pedestal of our heart. And what is that? She says to Gaurang Mahaprabhu that, my dear Lord, actually, your will is the highest. As long as I'm concerned, I am simply as, your part and parcel. I'm simply a servant, and let whatever is destined to come, let it come upon me. But let me never be an obstacle to the execution of your divine will. So thy will be done, not my will. Right? So this is actually pure bhakti. So this is the highest summit of our aspiration. आश्लिष्यवान् पादरतां पिनष्टु माम् अदर्शनान् मर्महतां करोतु वा यद् यथा तथा वा विदधातु लम्पटो मत्प्राणनाथ तु स एव नापरः. So here it is said, Ashlishyavan Padaratam Pinashtumam. So the same mood of Krishna, let me not be an obstruction to your will. Whatever you do, whatever keeps you happy, you do it. And let me never be an obstacle to that. Means let me never go against what you want to happen for me also. Right? Many times we have this obstructing mentality. Krishna, I want this only, whether or not you like it. So that is not the mood. The mood of pure devotional service is whatever makes you happy, Krishna, that I'm ready to comply with. So, of course, many times we sing, Ashlishyavan Padaratam Pinashtumam. It's not Adarshanan, it is Adarshanan. So, Rati means what? Attraction. Arati means lot of attraction. Arati means no attraction. Adarshanan means without your darshan, our heart will break. We sing Adarshanan Marmahatam Karotuva. You are breaking my heart with your darshan. So, so I mean, many times it is true because we get satiated with devotional life. But anyways, so we should be very careful, right? So this is the summit, and Radhanath Maharaj explains in one lecture that Trinadapi Shunichena is a necessary gateway to this goal of pure devotional service, but it is not the goal in itself. So Trinadapi Shunichena is not the goal in itself. The highest goal is Ashlishyavan. And that's how we see in Vishnu Priya, who has imbibed this same mood. And of course, then Gaurang Mahaprabhu leaves, and we see because of that separation, there was such deep, intimate connection with the Lord in her heart that she takes up such grand austerity of she would chant one round of full, 108 names of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and then that one grain, after one round, she'll take one grain of rice and keep it. So how many rounds she chants in a day, that many grains of rice she keeps, that's all. And that she'll cook, offer to deity of Gaurasundar, and then honor the prasadam. That's all. And because of that, she would become so emaciated and weak and frail. So is she suffering? No. But she's becoming emaciated, frail, and weak. But that is not suffering. Because Krishna or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was more intimately connected to her ever, than ever before. He was so connected. She was so connected with him. Correct, no? So that is the principle of separation. So even in amidst gopis, when Krishna, after Raslila, he immediately disappears. All the gopis go into a fit of separation. and they could not stand the disappearance of Krishna all of a sudden. And why I'm saying this is that's what is happening even with Narad Muni. Krishna is saying that um, only once I gave you darshan. Why? This is to increase your hankering for me. Mat kamaya, etat kamaya te anagha. You are virtuous. And at the same time, he says that you are rich Shayan. You have sinful desires in your heart. And we'll come to that why he says. So the whole point is Krishna disappears from our life in order to give us separation. What is disappearance? How does it manifest or translate into practical life? Dryness. We don't feel any taste in chanting. We don't feel any eagerness for doing service to Krishna. We are busy bickering about who will do this service because I cannot do. I've already done 1, 2, 3 seva, and we have the what do you call the huh? What? Seva no, no, things are required because we're not on pure devotional platform. Raga Bhakti, if you do, nobody will wake up for Mangalarti because full night we're doing bhajan. So not like the Sevachar is important. I'm saying we have the what is that word? We dare to count our services. Correct? Now I've done this service, this service, this service, and that service. Prabhu, now it's your turn. Like that. So we have that audacity. That's what I was looking for. We have the audacity to even count our services when service itself is so rare and such a great fortune bestowed upon us. Correct? So in this purport, Prabhupada explains the transcendental nature of godly service. And what is the transcendental nature of godly service? In one purport in first canto 11th chapter, Prabhupada explains the law of satiation. So law of satiation means in this material life, in this material world, if you're working a lot, for earning money, etc., etc., do you think many people are there who can go on and on without a holiday? No. But on the other hand, for devotees, Sunday is the most busiest day. Full week they'll do material duties, and Sunday is the most busiest day. And again they're ready to do it. Why? Because for Krishna. So the law of satiation means that when you're engaged materially, you have a satiety or satiation. So there's difference between satiation and satisfaction. Anyone can explain what's different between satiation and satisfaction? Sometimes it sounds very similar, and sometimes we are shocked when some like the Shaunakadi rishis they are saying, vayam tu na vitrapyamaha. We are not satiated or we are not satisfied. Tripti means satisfaction, correct? And Nitya Tripta is Krishna. He is always satisfied. He doesn't hanker for anything. So vayam tu na vitripyama. That means we are not satisfied by what? Uttama shloka vikrame. By hearing Krishna's pastimes. We are not satisfied. The soul is fully satisfied. Why they are saying like that? Vayam tu na vitripyama uttama shloka vikrame. So then what is it? Okay, rasa jnanam. Basically by tasting the nectar, swadu swadu pade pade. By tasting the nectar of the katha and name of Krishna, we want to taste it again and again. But it starts with vayam tu na vitripyama. We are not satisfied. So what is the difference between satiation and satisfaction? Correct. Yes. So one understanding is satiety is more of to do with hunger, something physical, whereas satisfaction is of the heart. Correct. So satiety also in like spiritual and devotional service context, satiety means once you get it, you don't want it anymore. Correct. Satisfaction means it completely fulfills that you want to do more. Understood, no? So we don't say that we are satiated in service. We are satisfied in service to such an extent we want to do more service. Right? So satisfaction is required. A devotee in devotional service is satisfied but never satiated. A person in material life is satiated with his work because he requires a holiday and is also never satisfied because he needs more and more money. Correct? Like that. So the point here being the law of satiation applies materially but not transcendentally. One. Second, in Krishna's seva, you can never get satiated because it's completely spiritual. Krishna is rasa vigraha. Chaitanyastu rasa vigraha is completely of rasa. That the more you serve him, the more you hanker for serving him. Right? That's again another part of transcendental nature of godly service. So three aspects. Transcendental nature of godly service. One, the law of satiety never applies transcendental. You never require a holiday. Rather, every holiday you'll have one big course, some IDC or some Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav, right? Devotees travel all the way to attend courses. It becomes the most busiest day. So there is no satiation on the spiritual platform. Second is, the more you do, the more you serve, the more you want service. मुखेन लोकातिहरस्मितेन परिस्फुरत्कुण्डलमण्डितेन शोणायितेन आधरबिम्बभासा. Then it says that sunasena subhrava. So a person who is actually serving Krishna, mukhena lokahara arti, lokahara arti. So what does that mean? By just seeing the beautiful smile of Radha Madhav, anyone who has done sincere service get completely satisfied. To such an extent that all his material miseries seem so superficial, superfluous, and artificial. So he doesn't worry about it. Correct? He doesn't need full, not become irresponsible, but he never worries about it. Why? Because he is completely satisfied by serving Krishna, by seeing the smile of Krishna. So when you do sincere service, then deities reveal themselves to you. You become so satisfied by the darshan and you become enlivened. And the deity, the Supreme Lord, in reciprocation, he becomes so enthralled. Oh, my devotee is so satisfied in my service. So he becomes more jubilant and he expresses and manifests himself more beautifully. Right? He reciprocates more with the devotee of his. And by that reciprocation, the devotee feels even more eagerness to serve Krishna. And this Prabhupada describes in that purport as transcendental competition of service between the Lord and devotee. And this is why the more we sincerely serve, the more we are never satiated. Rather, the more we sincerely serve, the more we hanker for more service. So in our life, we can apply this a principle as, am I, working for pleasure of Krishna or for something else? It is said when Draupadi called out to Krishna, immediately Krishna, who was many kilometers away, immediately appeared to Draupadi. But when I call out to Krishna, Krishna is not manifesting, right? Because we are chanting during the morning hours, we are chanting the holy name. But Krishna's presence, we hardly feel. Few of us may feel, but some of us may not even feel, correct? So sometimes it is very important to analyze why we are doing a particular devotional service. Because when Draupadi called to Krishna, she actually called to Krishna, Sampati. But when we call out to Krishna, we don't call out to Krishna. We call for sympathy. What is sympathy? Attention. Oh, others are seeing how nicely I'm chanting. Others are seeing that I'm doing offering on diligently at the same time, at the right time, properly. I know shlokas, etc. etc. So like that, somehow or the other, we get deviated. Instead of sympathy, we start serving sympathy. Means we want more sympathy from people. So we start doing devotional service with a hetu. And that is the reason for dryness. Right? And that's why Lord is telling Narad boy here that I disappeared from your vision because I want to increase your longing. And Prabhupada explains that Narad boy did not have any material desires. Right? He did not have material desire. Because after Lord gave his darshan, what did he do? He went and gone chanting, right? And before that, what did he do? He took his mother's death as an opportunity to surrender to Krishna. Where was material desire? There was no material desire. Then why? Lord says that Sarvan Munchati Hrichayan. By increasing your longing for me, all the abhadras in your heart will be mitigated. Why? Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that it's only to increase the humility of Narada boy. It's not that he was lacking, he was having material desires, but just to make him more humble, because through humility, which is the gateway, Trinadapi Shunichina, you can actually access that summit of the spiritual perfection, which is Ashlishyavan, Father Tham, that pure love for Krishna, right? So to give that humility, Lord said like that. So one aspect of transcendental nature of godly service is law of satiety does not apply to transcendental service. So if we are feeling satiated in Krishna Seva, that is because of some drawback in our purity in service to Krishna. Many times, Janma Aishwarya Shruta Shribihi, we know that in material life it becomes a big impediment to surrender to Krishna or to even enter Krishna consciousness. But even after having entered Krishna consciousness, we can be plagued by Janma Aishwarya Shruta Shribi. How? Janma, we get first initiation, second initiation, there's also Janma, correct? No? Nowadays, devotees don't celebrate material birthdays, only spiritual birthday. On initiation, we'll celebrate, correct? No? So, Janma, Achyuta Gotra. Before we never knew what Gotra we had, correct? But now Achyuta Gotra. So we become proud. Aishwarya, post, position, assets, etc. So this because this Aishwarya we get puffed up, or whatever we have control in the temple, or our this in charge, that in charge. Correct, now. So one devotee was telling me, actually in ISKCON, there's so many in charges that if you actually understand the whole picture, you'll never be puffed up by that you're in charge of something because everything has in charge, nothing big. And third is Shrutaha. We know how to quote verses. We know how to read Sanskrit without ever having learned Sanskrit. Correct? Though we read the English part of it, but we still become proud. And then Shribihi. We become so beautiful. We become carried away by how beautiful Shika I have, how beautiful Tilak I have. Tilak I have. I'm looking like a effulgent demigod. Correct, na? Or Sadhu Bhushanaha. What is Sadhu Bhushana? Hmm? What? What is the Bhushana of a sadhu? Ornament. Titakshava karunika suhrada sarvadehinam ajatava shatrava shanta ajata shatrava shantaha sadhava sadhu bhushanah. So that sadhu bhushan, we got some sadhu bhushan, we started developing humility. And the paradox, the irony of the situation is we start becoming proud of our humility. We start becoming proud of our titikshava, tolerance. That yes, I'm tolerating so many devotees, I'm such a great devotee. Correct. So like that, the whole point is, even in spiritual life, we become plagued by Janma, Ishvara, Shruta, Shribi in a different way. But again, the same disease. That's called material vision in a spiritual world. And that's why spiritual world remains far, far away, even though you are in a spiritual world. Correct? And so the first part is law of satiety doesn't apply transcendentally. Second is the more you serve, the more you want to serve. And third is Krishna reciprocates. So the last part of the purport, Prabhupada explains how actually, if you're sincere in service, Krishna reciprocates. Tesham satatuktanam priti purvakam. So when you do bhajan or seva with priti, with sincere desire to please Krishna, then actually Krishna reciprocates. He guides you how to do, how to chant, how to, you know, serve Vaishnavas, how to deal with them, etc. And that's the third aspect, right? So these are three aspects of transcendental nature of godly service. And then we discussed how the law of satiety acts because of our material vision. We go in the material world, then we pick up so many ideas how to be happy, that you are the body, your senses are the source of pleasure, you are limited because there's death, just enjoy, get as much money. We pick up all these ideas and come into temple, and then we cannot tolerate devotional service because it is just antagonistic. Sense gratification and devotional life go well ill together. We say ill together, but we think it is well together. And full devotional life is spent in dovetailing, dovetailing, and dovetailing. Everything, you do the most sinful thing, but you dovetail it somehow. But of course, in bhakti, we have to only, what is that? कुछ छोड़ना नहीं, सिर्फ जोड़ना है. Yeah. So even in gopis, we see the same mood of separation, and that's what Lord is creating for Narada boy. Through separation, you can feel Krishna's presence even more intimately. I hope someone knows this verse who can help me, because the problem is I didn't open my notes. Someone is not responding. That's why I don't remember my verses. Okay, so where to get? Yeah. Atatiyad bhavan Anikananam Trutiyugayate. Then every second is like a yuga. Twamapashyatam Kutilakuntalam Shrimukham Chate Jada Udekshataam Pakshmakridrishama. So the gopis are singing that Krishna, in your separation, every moment is felt like a yuga. Tuti yugayate tvam apashyatam, without seeing you. And when you do come to Vrindavan, because in Vrindavan, Krishna runs away with the cowherd boys during the daytime. And then the gopis are in great separation. That time they're feeling even 1 second, a moment to be of great length of time. And when he comes back, then also there's an obstruction, because they say that Brahma is so foolish that he had to create eyelids. And hence, when we are continuously drinking the nectar of your form, this eyelids pose an obstacle, right? So, if we want to actually achieve this kind of separation from the Lord, this is the summit. We don't have, at least I don't have, that kind, even a particle of this. And when we realize this is the fortune we have been given, but this is my position, then we start taking things seriously. How fortunate we are. What fortune has been bestowed upon undeserving people like us. Okay, so hence we have to be like a chatak bird. A chatak bird is known to drink water from the clouds only, no matter how thirsty it is. And sometimes the lightning appears in the sky and so frightful. Sometimes there's thunder which strikes the chatak bird and it falls down, but still it goes up. Like that, we must be understanding that Krishna is the only samam bonum in our life, nothing else. Why? Why are we attending morning program and Mangalati? Can anyone see? I'll end with this. You can see fast. Why are we attending morning program? Yes, Superior told. Why you are following what Superior told? Why you want to purify your heart? Vishnu, why you want to play? Why you want to? Hmm? Yes. So ultimately, whatever you do in your life is simply to develop eagerness for serving Krishna, eagerness to want to love Krishna, eagerness to attain pure love for Krishna. Everything. Why someone is Grihastha? Why? Why someone is Grihastha? One purport I recently read in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it said marriage is for those who are uncontrolled in senses and something like that. And then that was like a previous, whatever. So I just came across that purport and then I message to Rajakrishna Prabhu and I told him, Prabhuji, this is very disheartening. And Prabhuji said, no, Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. Determination like the Chatak bird is important. Why are you entering Grihastha for those who are entering? And for those who are entering Brahmacharya ashram, why are you entering Brahmacharya ashram? It's the same answer. Amazing, no? It's the same answer. To attain eagerness to serve Krishna. That is the only reason. Is not because, yes, it may be because you have uncontrolled senses, hence a particular situation is more favorable for you to develop eagerness for Krishna. But ultimate goal of why you're working in this world, why you're not working in this world, why you're attending morning program, why you're taking prasadam, why are you dealing nicely with devotees, why you're not dealing nicely with devotees, everything should be develop eagerness to develop love for Krishna. And then anukulasya sankalpa, pratikulasya varjanam. Everything is guided by eagerness to want to love Krishna and serve Krishna. That is the only purpose of whatever we do. Okay. So with that, I'll end. So we can take some point. I'll just summarize. So we discussed this verse when Krishna is actually appearing in sound vibration to Narada boy and is telling Narada that don't worry that only once I give you darshan, but actually I want you to increase your longing for me, and that will happen in separation. When Krishna gives little taste and disappears, then we understand, oh, that taste I had got, I want that taste back. Because sa muncha muncha iti alam prabhashini, alamida prabhashini, nishpidamanam. So who says this? Putana, correct na? Because once Krishna holds on to you, he'll never let go. So Krishna will never let go of you, but he'll remove the taste. He'll remove his presence. So in that way, Krishna removed his presence from Narada boy's heart so as to increase his longing for Krishna. One. Second, we saw that spiritual desire is the sum and substance of a devotee's life. Without spiritual desire, it's all vacant. And hence, we should learn how to cultivate the spiritual desire as per instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Rupa Goswami. And when it becomes fully blossomed in its maturity, that creeper reaches Golok Vrindavan at the lotus feet of Krishna, and Krishna takes that flower and smells it. And that is the perfection. And that perfection is nothing but Ashtishyavan Padaratam Pinashtumam. And for that, a necessary gateway is Tinada Pishnichana, humility, tolerance, etc. Giving all respect, not expecting any respect for oneself. And then we discuss three features of transcendental nature of godly service as described by Prabhupada in the purport. One, law of society does not apply to transcendental service. Second, the more you serve, the more you want to serve. Third, Krishna reciprocates with a sincere devotee who wants to please him. So long he is looking for Krishna, sampati and not sympathy. Third. And last, we discussed that why we feel satiation in our own service, and that's because of Jadadrishti. Correct? And that Jadadrishti comes because of material association, Janmaishwara Shrita Shibi outside and inside, etc. 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 How we can overcome? So we have to be well paced in spiritual life. well paced means keep moving ahead. So P, be more personal and be more proactive in pleasing Krishna. A, you associate with those who have madness for Krishna. Like most of us are going for Kartik Yatra, and those are here. You can also hear online, hear your own spiritual master, etc., etc. So associate. C is cry. Like Brahma in the prayer, he says that Krishna, I am simply made up of Rajoguna, and hence I keep making these offenses to you after Brahma Vimohan Lila. Atah kshamasva achyuta me rajo bhuvo. So hence being covered like this, I make my so many mistakes, but you look at my condition and show me some favor, some anukampa, kindly. So Brahma is making that prayer. So we should take that prayer. So we should cry in lamentation or in glorification. Kabe habe bolo. When will I develop taste for Krishna? That's positive connotation. Negative connotation of a positive aspect is basically lamentation. And third is E, engagement in more and more services. And D, determination like a Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Śrīla Prabhupāda ki. Our first one of what? PACD, personal and proactive. But like sometimes we see that nobody dares to do deity rest. I'll give a positive example. Then there was one after Sunday evening, there was nobody assigned to clean the hall, temple hall. But then I saw one devotee, Prana Krishna Chandrapur. He himself took up the seva and alone he was doing. And once he was putting this song from Kannada, which glorifies Lakshmi ji's fortune of worship, cleaning Vaikuntha. Why she has to clean Vaikuntha when there's no dust? Correct, na? She's doing so that Krishna will be pleased. Like that, he took up the seva and full hall. I asked Prabhu, in a half-hearted way, I think I asked. That's why Prabhu was not very pleased. He said, "It's okay, Prabhu, I'll do myself." And he cleaned the entire hall. Like that, so many times, nobody to deity worship, then Kripakar Prabhu is there. So many. So like that, all of you are doing. I've observed all of you do so many services. But sometimes, because of influence of little bit of gunas of the lower nature, sometimes someone nobody is there, we start fighting. So you do deity rest, you do deity rest, you do deity. I have gone to office, I have done this. I'm not clean, I'm not clean. Like that. So correct. So you should be eager for service, right? So being proactive and personal, Krishna is there. If Krishna sees that you are fighting to serve me, Krishna said, "Don't worry, I am yoga nidra. I'm always in yoga nidra, right? So I can go to rest by myself. I don't need your help." Correct, na? So it's our fortune. Like once I did not wake up in time or come here in time to do deity wake up. Kripakar just took it and understood that Krishna is not in need of your service. We are easily replaceable. We are easily replaceable. You just have to change the name or call another devotee. That's all. Not a big thing. You're not doing some big thing. Correct? Now, if you're without you, Krishna, what to do? Like that's not like that. Right? So personal and proactive. We should pick it up. We should be hungry for service. Like that. Though I'm not the best person to say this. Okay. Any question? Any one question? Because we are late for Damodar to come. Yes. Yes. Yeah. So subtle pride of our own good qualities or our own service to Krishna, and that's because of the weeds. They start looking like bhakti kripa, and we don't know what to cater to. Even while chanting, we are busy thinking. Sometimes we're so busy thinking of a fallen state that we don't even hear the holy name. Pseudo humility, correct, na? So basically, the whole point is follow instruction of superiors. When you follow instruction of superiors, by doing that, sometimes you get seva which you don't like, I mean, which you like, and sometimes you get which you don't like. And by simply following the instruction of spiritual master, this I'm not saying, Bhagavatam Narad Muni tells in 15th chapter, 7th canto, that just by service to spiritual master who is non-different from the Supreme Lord, who has to be seen as non-different from Supreme Lord, all these subtle anarthas can also be removed. Because sometimes you don't like, sometimes you like. So all that duality you give up. But if you think I don't need spiritual master, I'll only do, then you'll do only which you like, and you like what your ego only, not Krishna. So it is all twist and turn by Maya. So if you just follow orders of superiors, that's as far as my realization goes. Maybe better answers exist. Okay. So we'll end here. Anyone who has genuine question can ask me later during prasadam. हरे कृष्ण श्रील प्रभुपाद की ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की श्री श्री राधा दामोदर की ताए गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि बोल. So I thank all the online devotees